And if it's Sunday and it's 8 a.m. Central and it's Wayne and Jeff, you know what it is. It's time for Not Your Normal Sunday Show. Services are beginning. Please find a seat and turn into page 17 in your hymnals of blasphemy as Brother Wayne starts the services. How are you, Wayne?
Well, let me open with invocation of favor. Just cast a spell on everyone right now. Doing good, Jeff.
Boom. There you go.
Yeah,
and of course, we want to say hello. I want to say hello to my mother, not that she watches, and to everybody else's mother and to all you mothers out there.
Yeah,
happy Mother's Day.
And we know a lot of mothers.
We do. And even if you have never had a child, you're still a mother, some of you.
Still a mother. I, some reason, got Otto Guthrie and Alice's restaurant going in the back of my head here.
Oh, wow.
You know, you put me on the Group W bench with mother rapers, father rapers. You've ever heard the song?
No.
Oh, well, do yourself a favor. It's a Thanksgiving tradition, by the way.
No kidding.
At Alice's restaurant. Oh, yeah. Just around the back, half a mile away from the railroad track. You can get everything you want excepting Alice.
Oh, nice. I know it's a classic.
Yeah, and they actually made a movie of it.
And speaking of mothers, Rocky Stucci, shut up, is in the house. And this is early for Rocky.
Well, I have to say, hello, Rocky.
Absolutely. Rocky, nice. Early morning and everything.
Good to see everyone. Yes.
To be frank with you, it's early for me. I've been up for like 45 minutes.
Well, I woke you up, I think, maybe. I don't know.
It's so early that I got my nighttime glasses on, Wayne.
Well, hey, listen. It's all right. As I told you before, it's dark somewhere in the world.
It is. And we got some naughty people in this chat room.
Oh, well, it's a good day for it.
But Wayne, I had a super long day yesterday. I had my concealed carry permit class, and that was topped off with 2 hours on the radio with Robert Stanley and Jay Campbell over at KGRA.
Good deal.
So it was fun. It was fun. A nice talk with those guys. Well, it wasn't nice, but it was very interesting.
It wasn't nice.
Well, I don't think anybody would call it nice that, heard it. Fun, irreverent, blasphemous, but I don't think nice would be good. But do you really want to finish with a podcast and somebody say, oh, that was really nice?
I guess it depends on the context.
Yeah, no, I don't want nice. I'm not going for nice.
I
want love or hate, Wayne. Love, I can use. Hate, I can transmute and use that energy. But indifference, I can't do anything with.
They say that is, if there is a sin, indifference would be it. But
isn't that what you want to give to people that are hating on you? Take the energy, transmute it, and then just give them back indifference?
Jeff, this week, it's been the campaign of, I guess, the anti-free thinkers, I'll put it that way, which we know are primarily Christians, have been...
I would say almost exclusively Christians.
Yeah, I actually found out there's a group that now comes in to my live programs, and before I even say a word, you already get the thumbs down.
Oh, yeah, me too.
And then I'm finding out they're writing to YouTube, flagging our videos. My videos, seems like also our Sunday morning videos.
Really?
Yeah, you can go in there and you can flag it, and tell YouTube, I think that this video is inappropriate because of hate speech and what have you. That's what they're doing.
Well, thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, so, I just say, I just invoke favor on them. I've been teaching over on my channel probably the most feared book of the guy who started it all for modern day Christians, King James. And that is Henry Cornelius Agrippa. The king thought him to be the single most offensive heretic magician that if he had the chance, he would have put him to the stake.
King James?
Oh, yeah. And which most people, I've been reading this book in depth. I've read it before, but I'm really going through it. This by Donald Dyson's.
And what's it called, Wayne?
The Demonology of King James. And it's his 3 books that King James wrote. He has it in a conversation of 2 men. It's actually his alter ego. And in the discourse of these 3 books, he is telling his friend why witchcraft is and why anyone who even thinks it should be put to death. Goes into extensive. I got some really good pointers here for everyone. Jeff, do you know the man who wrote the Bible that, the authorized King James Bible, never, ever uttered the word Jesus?
He never uttered it?
Never uttered it.
Why not?
Well, number 1, it didn't exist.
That's true.
2, through his whole writings, he never uses the name other than Christ.
This is King James we're talking about.
This is King James.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, why is this man who really did believe in Revelations, I think it's 9, where he comes on a white horse with a white, clean clothes stained in the blood of the saints. He actually thought he was that person.
That's interesting. Yeah, the Greek actually says he comes back with a garment covered with spurting, hemorrhaging blood from all the people he's killed.
And so the King James, born on June 19th, my birthday, by the way, was a homosexual.
I just ordered the book, by the way.
You should. I'm telling you, I was up till 12:45 reading it, and I'm about halfway through because I'm teaching on the philosophy of natural magic and the occult by Henry Cornelius Agrippa, the very book that King James banned.
Oh, nice.
If he could have found him, he would have, of course, he would have killed him. The interesting thing was, too, Agrippa put out his book 1 year before the release and the printing of the second King James Bible. Most people don't know the 1614 version that is not in circulation, which, by the way, does not have the name of Jesus in it.
Interesting. And did you know that the name Christ is just as linguistically absurd as the name Jesus? The word Christ, Christos, in Greek is correctly translated anointed. But by making it the word Christ, they can make it a person. They can externalize it. So instead of us realizing that the Christ is in us, the anointing, the flow, the consecration, they can get us to focus on a outside character. Let's have them focus on our I am, so they don't realize that they are, or we are, divine, sovereign, and free.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things I found as well is that
Wait, can we stop for a second?
Yes, sir.
Wes Carlson says he's struggling with the red letters. Wes, may I encourage you to please look at the video I did last week about the red letters? Wayne, you know this, but the red letters were a Catholic idea put into practice by a guy that was in all likelihood a Freemason. And the first red letter in the Bible did not appear until 1901. So how important can they be if they weren't there until 1901? I know some people say, oh, the red letters. That is just, there's no scholarship there. It started in 1901. It was a Catholic idea. The Freemasons probably put it into practice. So you tell me how important those red letters are. And remember, red letters, black letters, they're all Roman letters. They're all King James's letters.
Exactly.
End of speech. Well, not really, but.
Well, number one, King James said all Catholics are heretics. So they could not be trusted. They perverted the true mission of what God had. He had a fear of the devil. The thing that when you begin to see what he did, and it was at his instruction, for instance, a witch, which really means wise woman, they were most vulnerable. They did a thing called...
Wayne, we can't have any wise women. We can't have that.
Apparently they didn't like it back in the 1600s either.
That's for sure.
They did a technique. They would strip the woman down, shave her, all the hair on her body, and then they would use this thing called pricking. And it sometimes was a needle, sometimes it was a dagger.
Wayne, just think of that. Poor woman accused of being a witch. And what's the first thing these perverts want to do? They want to strip her naked
Yep.
and shave all her hair. Who gets that job? Don't tell me that's not gross perversion.
Oh, the thing about Christianity is it's a perverted religion
Oh,
because
yeah.
the foundation of it is so gross, so putrefied that what they did was through this exact fear and intimidation. Now,
Oh, Wayne, and keep talking about that pricking and think about the word that has become commonplace in some people for the male anatomy.
a prick.
And think about this
Yep.
practice you're talking about.
Yep. And what they would do if a woman had a mole, any type of mark on her body, they would push the dagger or the needle in. And if she screamed, then they went to another one. And until they found a mark of the devil that where they could press in and there was no pain. And then they found their witch. And they got their confessions. And all the confessions were through torture.
Which means they weren't really confessions at all.
No. And this guy who wrote the King James Bible, that was his mission, purposely in many parts of the translations inserted his perversion of what he saw Christ to be.
Wayne, did they ever try a male witch?
No, they had one that King James was going to, but he was a learned man. And by the way, King James felt that if you were a learned man, you were more likely to fall into witchcraft than you would into the Gospels.
Of course, because politicians prefer the ignorant.
Yes.
Even better is ignorant peasants, and even better is unarmed ignorant peasants.
Oh, perfect. And this, so they never did. He challenged him. He wanted John Dee, because when Elizabeth died, Elizabeth had kind of the amnesty for those who practiced in the occult.
Right.
And then when she died, of course, James came in here. Now, he got all this in his head. He was a sick kid, couldn't walk. All his peers said he was a braggart. In other words, he wasn't really a learned man, but he was basically a bullshitter. We would call that in today's terminology.
Right.
But he thought very highly of himself.
Spoiled little rich kid.
Yeah, basically, yeah. They said that he was kidnapped by one of the clans in Scotland for a year. He was shaving already, and they said he squealed like a baby boy. In fact, his captors wrote of him, they said they called him a weasel. All he did was cry and sniffle. This was no king, as they wrote.
Wow, and this is the guy that is solely responsible for what you say today is the illimitable, 100% spirit-breathed word of God to man.
Oh, and boy, did he
Thank you, Two Trees.
He absolutely fixated on that. He felt that he was bringing the Logos to the world. This dude, he was a sick mofo. And on his deathbed, his staff, they actually conducted a spell. They brought in a pig, dressed it as a human. Each one of his lords and ladies played a role. They baptized the pig and then laid their hands on it while they laid their hands on the dying king to transfer his agony into the pig. And then they let the pig out to run and take the pain away.
Didn't work, but they were trying.
Well, the irony of it, here's this guy who had this crusade. Yep. The Salem witch trials was because of this asshole, and the pain and suffering he brought, it shows that Christianity is a religion of fear and control, not one of gratitude and love.
Power Vapor Supply says, well, at least we could have had a barbecue, but they didn't even do that.
They didn't even do that.
Lady Gray Raven says, isn't that magic? Yeah, that would be.
It is magic, yes.
And that would be, I guess you could consider it black magic, at least from the pig's point of view.
All right, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally teaching the whole book. This is, it's mark my words, others will start imitating us. They're doing it with Lilith. So I'm going to read the whole book, The Philosophy of Natural Magic and the Occult. And what you begin to find out very clearly is that Henry Agrippa believed in God as much as any God-fearing person was. They believed that they just practice a magic that is, in fact, the true magic and not the magic of the Hebrews, which they said was a bloodletting magic.
And it was, and it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we talked about the dedication of the temple with Solomon. What was it? For 8 days, they slaughtered bulls and goats and birds of which no number could be counted, and the blood flowed from the temple continuously.
Praise the Lord.
I mean, and then they're burning all of this.
And Wayne, that's exactly what they're doing. Especially think of these big churches with these big altar calls. That's what they're doing every Sunday. They're sacrificing. There's blood, energetic blood running down, just like there's energetic blood running down from all that slaughtering. And even though this is, his personal choice, I don't know how people feel about this. King James was as queer as a $3 bill.
Yeah. His peers, they know there were 3 that they suspected, but 1 that they knew.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, if you have one homosexual encounter, does that make you gay for life?
I don't know. Jeff, explain to me how the first 10 popes, 7 of them were homosexuals.
Only 7?
Well, maybe the other 3, but it certainly lends you to think that maybe God is gay.
Oh, Robert Stanley made a great point last night when we were on his show in KGA. Check KRGA, KGRA. Great program. He made the statement that, and we've always thought, Wayne, in terms of there being 2 gods in the Bible, the real God, and then the guy that calls himself Yahweh, the loving God, hateful God. And Robert said, what if it's really one God, but he has multiple personality disorder? No, he was seriously. I mean,
no,
do
I
these
agree.
beings that live a long time like this, do they end up going crazy?
Well, I mean, number one, if you take, and I have to make a distinguish here, Judaism is not the original belief of the Jews. In fact, the Jews were never around when the Hebrews were here. But the Hebrews, didn't their God have 72 names?
He did. The 72 effable names.
Yes.
And effable. Isn't that interesting?
Effable. Yeah.
And there were 72 demons of Solomon. So let's see. I
always remembered the El Shaddai. That El Shaddai means the multi-breasted one. And giving you the impression that there's a male with multiple tits.
That seems a little bit Baphometish to me.
Uh-oh. That can't happen.
Ooh, how about that? Here's an interesting point. Sexual attraction towards the same sex makes you gay, not an encounter. I would say, just from my 2 cents, I would say that a gay person is a person that could fall in love with the same sex, not necessarily someone that would want to have sex with the same sex.
Yeah, there's man whores out there.
There's man whores out there. Yeah. And there's might even be girl whores out there.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking
liberated individuals, so called.
We can be adults here, right?
So when I say that they're sucking on the teat of Christianity, then they might really be. And in fact, the Catholic Church has often portrayed Christ as having breasts.
Yeah. Woo. Oh boy.
What cup would you think? What cup do you think, Wayne?
I'd definitely probably go with a D cup.
Yeah, I think so. If you're gonna put tits on Jesus, it might as well be big ones, right?
I mean, there might as well. I mean, well, maybe this has been the answer for all mankind. Now we know that men get breasts, so we're going to be content for eternity. Oh, we'll never go out, and he will play with them forever.
Rocky, don't do it. I'm just saying, Rocky, don't do it.
What's he up to?
No, you don't want to know.
All right.
You don't want to know. But Wayne, even as we speak, remember when you said the other day I mentioned the hot cup of shut up, and you're like, hey, about that. Well, guess what, Wayne? Even as we speak, the responsibly sourced beans have been ordered. My son is in the process of hand roasting the beans, and it's just mere days before we've got hot cup of shut up available.
It's going to be a success, I'm telling you.
And we're going to hopefully roll it out when Rocky Stucci and I have been fortunate enough to have our show Shut Up and Listen nationally syndicated. So we'll roll it out in conjunction with that.
I think it's going to be a hit.
And Wayne is partly responsible for that. And Wayne gave me the encouragement, the little goose, if you will.
Get on up here. You can do it. You can
do it.
All right. So, Jeff, question. We're talking in essence about heretics, which you and I have been branded.
Oh, yeah.
Hell, we got hate clubs on us. I mean, I just, all right.
I literally had my first credible death threat. I'm coming after you, and idiot went after somebody else. So, yeah.
Yeah. I often wonder these people and even their religion, when they say they're going to go to fight for their God, I can't help but just come back and say, is your God that weak that they have to get something like you?
Of course.
I mean, come on. If that's your God, that's the best it can do is you?
Yeah.
You ain't got no God. So, let's talk about creation.
New band name, Triple D Jesus.
Oh, you heard it here first, folks, but that is a good one. So let me ask you, Jeff, do you believe that man was created like that? Or do you think that man's creative entry was prolonged, a much more drawn out?
Well, Wayne, I go back and forth on that. And I don't mean to be, what did I get called? A contrarian. I am a contrarian. You're either a contrarian or a conformist. So the problem is not really with me, it's with thee. But anyway,
I thought it was I.
Sometimes I don't buy the story of, they created us and one couldn't talk and one had floppy. I think that the true gods were better at it when they got here. And I think the true creation was pretty seamless and smooth. However, I think there could have been a breakaway set of bumbling gods trying to do what they weren't meant to do, and they could have made some mistakes. So I'm just not sold on the whole bumbling gods thing, but as far as it being the real gods, our real creators. But yeah, that's kind of where long answer to a short question.
So you're taking that magic that they just simply thought and then man was.
Well, I'm talking about I think the real creator, the true father, mother creators, they can create instantaneously and with perfection. That would be my point today.
Yeah. I'm not sure on it. I think that in many ways, like the world religions today, most of them were born and propagated within the last 1,000 years. And in many cases, I think where Christianity is concerned, I think it's even more recent than that. I think it's within the last couple of 100 years that we see the form today. But
yeah, I'd say so.
All right. So I have been reading this book called The Beginning Was the End. It's banned, by the way. You can still get it on Amazon, about $100. The evidence shows that, and I know this is going to be controversial. I know we've got 3 thumbs down. This may get another 3. But the evidence would show that man is, in fact, the genus of a long line of what we call man. For instance, here's just why I can't think of the creation story like a snap. Because what do you do with the Neanderthals? What do you do with the Cro-Magnons? What do you do with the Denisons? What do you do with, all the other subclasses of genus of man, Homo?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just pulled it up, and the first thing that comes up is The Beginning Was the End is a 1971 pseudo-scientific book written by Oscar Kiss Merth that claims that humankind evolved from cannibalistic apes. Its premise: one ape discovered that eating the fresh brain of one's own kind increases the sexual impulses.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I've never heard any Christian theologian explain the evolution of man. We know that these species existed. I mean, it's not, fantasy. There were a race of man called Cro-Magnus. There was a race of man known as Neanderthals. The question becomes, how do they fit into the creation story?
That's interesting. Have you read the book yet?
I am on chapter 5, and it's blowing my freaking mind. He makes some very, very compelling arguments.
Eating the brains of one's own kind increases the sexual impulses. Wow.
We
So
know.
you're saying we ate all the Cro-Magnon, we ate all the Neanderthals.
No, this was before all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. His contention is that Homo, man, ape man, man ape, however you want to put it, is probably, tens of millions of years old.
Interesting. Currently unavailable on Amazon.
Yeah, I got the last copy, I think. And because I saw there was one left, I thought, I'm going to get that. It's blowing me away. My wife and I are both looking at this all right. So explain to me how the rhesus hemoglobin is in our DNA. You've done videos on this, the RH factor.
Yep.
So we can't explain all the other species of man. We can't explain them in the creation story. There's evidence that man today, we have two different species of man. We have the dark-skinned man, and then we have the light-skinned man. The light-skinned man originated in the northern regions, where the dark-skinned man originated in the southern regions.
Would that be two different species or just a variation within a species?
I think, and sir, it's just my opinion at this point. An opinion defines between ignorance and knowledge. I contend that I think we are two different species.
Now, doesn't that kind of drive towards feeding racist beliefs?
Well, religion is racist.
Oh yeah, it is for sure. At least Abrahamic religion.
Well, it is. I mean, Yahweh said that he called the Hebrews his chosen race.
Yeah,
I didn't say that. He did.
Whereas Peter said that the true gods are no respecter of persons.
So which one are they talking about? I'm confused.
Which Bible writer made a mistake?
So we can't, in fact, let me just say.
Oh, Tracy says she would say they came from different planets.
Well, we know that there was life on Mars. Do we not? It says mankind is a newcomer on the earth. He can remember neither the hour of his birth nor his origin. For a long time, he fancied himself the center of the world as he imagined it. And by God's will, it was appointed master. He placed himself at the apex of the imaginary self-constructed pyramid. And as he has evolved, he has been forced to climb down from the very top to where today he is at the very bottom.
Interesting.
These are just questions I ask. Where did we come from? Now, with the garden story is so ambiguous, you don't know when it is. But yet, we fell into this trap of the Sumerian legend. Why? It's Enki or Enyo. And this is the Hebrew god that came out of that, because that's where Abram came from. I think it's just another spell, brother.
Yeah.
Because it still doesn't account for the lineage of man.
It doesn't.
You've studied. You're a theologian, I would say. I'd classify you as that. It will be interesting to see what's your take on it, because I'm trying to put this out to sensible people and say, well, how do we bridge these two constructs together? You can't.
Yeah.
Either one is a made-up fallacy and the other a reality we don't want to accept, or neither is true.
It's definitely interesting. It's worth looking at. Ransom says, have you seen how many small cat species there are, all different, but all can mate with each other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It's depending on how you look at it. There are stories, I think, particularly in the Colburn Bible, that talks about man was a wild beast,
Yeah.
mated with other animals until the first time he actually mated with one of the gods, a female. And once he did that, the animal kingdom rejected him.
Interesting.
Now, that's just another story.
Right.
But that's what, one of the legends are.
And, circling back for a minute, if you are a Christian, and especially if you're a King James Bible only Christian, how do you now deal with the revelation that King James was without a doubt homosexual? And we know how you Christians feel about homosexuality. And how do you deal with the fact that he was doing magic rituals on his deathbed? And we know how you feel about magic. I guess my question is, how big of hypocrites are you going to continue to be, and for how long?
Yeah. Did you hear what the Pope said this week? In light of all the pedophilia and everything else, now there's a story coming out that's going to break for the Vatican on the sexual trafficking of nuns. How many nuns were put to death in the 14th, 15th, 16th century because they were raped by either the monks or the priest.
And it was said when a nun became pregnant, the way they explained it away, Wayne, was that, she's had contact with, I don't know if it's incubus or succubus, the male one. She had contact with them, so we have to kill her because she's been seated with a demon.
Yes,
she was seated with a demon, all right, but it was a flesh demon.
Yeah, many of them
called a priest,
put to death because they were. So, how does this, in any way, make you want to feel real warm and fuzzy about this?
Cliff Desmond says Jesus was not being a smartass when he said they're of their father, the devil. He was telling
me who the devil is.
Yeah.
They talk about Satan, and I tell people all the time, Satan doesn't exist.
Nope.
But anyway, let me finish the thought with what the Pope said. So on the future sexual abuses, instead of going to the law enforcement authorities of the country, no, you circumvent them and you take it to Vatican City.
Because Vatican City is a sovereign nation.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hate when that happens.
Why do they call them all to the Vatican? Oh, because they're going to sit and talk to the Pope? No, because they're in a sovereign nation and now the laws of the world don't apply.
You said something earlier, and I want to maybe focus on this, is that the Abrahamic religions, would you, sir, not say that they constitute as one? Islam is no different than Judaism. It is no different than Christianity. Then Christianity is different from Islam. That, and I know that'll get us some thumbs down, but they're all the same matriarch. The patriarch is Abram, right?
Yep.
Well, wouldn't that constitute a world religion?
Oh, that's good. Because, there's no doubt that Yahweh of the Jews, Allah of the Islams, and our Lord of Christianity is all the same dude.
Has to be.
And they're all the same names, all the same players. It's like the whole Republican Democrat false paradigm. They're all three the same, and it's just another divide and conquer tactic. You have to be very, very unsophisticated not to see it.
Well, dear friend, there may be a few in that camp.
Oh, they are. And they don't want to know. They don't want to know.
They do not.
They don't have the guts to admit it.
Oh, my. When you said that, I just saw this corral just expanding. It's like, not us. I don't know what you're talking about.
And do you know that the word sheep in the Bible, the first definition for the word sheep is one that is easily led?
Ooh.
In the Greek. I'm not making it up.
My sheep know my voice.
That's right. And they will follow. That verse says, those that are easily led hear my voice and will follow me wherever I lead them.
Uh-oh.
That sounds like a pimp. No wonder he dressed with all them jewels and, he's got his train fills the temple. He's dressed like a pimp. Got a big old hat on.
I'm thinking of Superfly, with the
Yeah, the
platform
God of the
suit,
Bible is a pimp.
wearing with the goldfish and the heel.
Oh yeah, man. He's got his staff with him.
Oh,
Coming back on a big old. Is he coming back in a big old pink Cadillac, or is it really a white horse?
I don't know. So we got what I say is basically a world religion.
It is a one
Dominates.
world religion. I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah. Five
it,
eighths of the world.
yeah, and it's yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So I've been thinking in the book I'm reading with the philosophy of natural magic, it brings out the fact that Moses was a master magician.
Oh, no doubt.
So, Jeff, I've been thinking since he practiced the arts, and I think it may have been Tutmos, not Moses, but there's controversy on that. So he knew the arts, what we call magic, whether it was white magic, black magic, I don't know. Is it possible that Moses conjured Yahweh up?
Yeah, Pope and Pimp both have 4 letters and both have PP in them. Just saying. Moses, could he have conjured? That would explain some things. I always thought Moses called in an extraterrestrial, a magical drawdown. But what if he did just? What if this Yahweh being is just a thought form created by Moses?
He
That
only
would
showed up.
explain a lot of things.
It
That would
would, wouldn't
explain
it?
a lot of things.
And it would go with Marshall Masters' book on, the bronze books in their story of the passing of whatever it was.
That would explain a lot of things.
Coincides too closely with the conjuring of a something, and all of a sudden we get all this chaos, turmoil, death, plagues, the whole bit. And as they go off with the master magician, so does the plagues and everything else.
Right.
I don't know.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So everything that we read from there on out would make this the reason why Judaism has failed in the manner that it has, because it did not have the original spells that the master magician had. And those secrets were passed down until, which I contend, if Solomon existed, I don't know if he did or did not, but if he did, he may have been the last one that actually knew these secret arts.
So how did it get lost? And how has the Pope kept it going without any magical abilities?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, is that if we think about what Ethiopia played and how today they keep on coming into the center, did in fact Sheba leave with some of these secrets?
Why would they have let her?
Well, because she was married to Solomon. I think she carried his seed.
Interesting.
And
I
because
just don't know how they would have lost the ability and how they would have kept it going for so long if they didn't have if they lost the magical abilities.
Well, they lost their instruments. I mean, wherever the Ark of the Covenant, if it
Right.
was in fact a actual physical thing, it was obviously a huge power source. I contend that whatever this spirit was, and this is just something that I've thought about, when Solomon betrayed this God, call him Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, that betrayal is when this God left. He'd had it.
Way back then, huh?
Yeah. As far as he was concerned, there was no longer a legal contract in Forza that had been violated, and he left. And ever since then, they've never been what they were. So what if Sheba left with some of these secret arts? Kind of consider it like an inheritance to her son, Solomon's son. And we don't know how many sons or daughters Solomon had. He had this concubine was 1,000 women?
Wow.
So I'm just saying, because Ethiopia, ever since that point, has always been a strong center of something. I'm just speculating, just putting it out there.
That's interesting. But I mean, Ethiopia now, with all the plagues and famines and stuff.
Yeah. So think about this. The plagues came in with Moshe. As he leaves the supposed story, the plagues go. Wherever this God or its name always goes, there's plagues that follow.
Interesting. I was thinking the same thing, Warrior Queen. What do you do with 1,000 women?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long he lived, but let's just say he lived to a good ripe age of 60. I don't know, maybe a little bit longer, but how do you handle that?
I mean, that's less than once a year if you visit each one of them once.
Well, let's see. You could do 365 within a year. Yeah. But boy, there's a lot of changes that can take place by the time you circle the cycle back through. I mean, and then he made Shira poles. These were erected temples to other gods. Yeah.
How about that?
Who were these other gods? Apparently, it was just not just one. It wasn't Baal. It wasn't Moloch. I mean, there apparently were quite a few.
And the smartest guy in the world, supposedly, was making temples to other gods. Maybe he was smart. He realized, ooh, this God that we got, he's a loser.
Now, you see, Jeff, that's why I like doing the show, because that's the counterintuitive thought that I came up with is like, well, now, wait a minute. You're right. The dude was the smartest dude around. And he ain't sticking with the one that supposedly gave him this power?
That's why he was the smartest guy who was able to think outside the box. Like, whoa, I know this guy gave me this power, but I'm watching him and he's not that good. He's not that proficient.
No.
We need to find some other contractors. This guy's not getting the job done.
Something's up. And it's all wrapped around us. I mean, I'm like you. We read. There's a lot of people that read. And
did some of the demons that built the temple tell him, hey, look, bro, this might not be the guy you want to go with?
I don't know. It gets into the question, do demons exist?
Yeah.
I keep on going in the paradigm. I'm reading all this magic, right? This ancient old magic. And I'm seeing the warnings and everything else. But Jeff, you know what I'm coming to? This is what I awoke at 4:00 this morning thinking this. I don't want to perform any magic. I mean, why do I want a spirit, a demon to be beholden to me? Because eventually the check comes due where I'm going to have to be beholden to it.
Oh, it's definitely quid pro quo, Clarice.
Yes, it is. So
unless you do your own magic, then that's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, I define my own magic as doing an inside job.
Absolutely.
But demons. So I'm thinking this morning on this whole paradigm. Demons, angels, white magic, black magic, all the gods are into, either evil or good. And because that's what happens in the spirit realm. And I'm thinking to myself, this is insanity. I thought that we lived in an infinite universe. Then why the hell is it in this so small circle? Everything is either God or evil. Choose you this day who you will serve. Remember that?
Yeah, it's like it's exact. The paradigm between religion and politics is staggeringly similar. I mean, politics tells us you get to choose between these two, Republican or Democrat, two wings on the same bird. And religion tells you get to choose between these two, good and bad, and we run them both.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So the Satan of the Bible is just as big a creation as the God of the Bible. And they work together. It's a scam. It's a scam. They're running a scam. It's a protection racket.
That's exactly it. Yep. I mean, this is the mafia on steroids.
It is.
I mean, the whole heaven hell concept. It's an inside job, folks.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. If Lucifer exists, I don't know if he does or not. I'm just saying, well, it means he's a 50-50 partner with Yahweh.
So, Wayne, how come people can figure out that 9/11 was an inside job and they can't figure out the blatantly obvious absurdities of Christianity?
Because they're afraid of dying. They're afraid of the accountability of what they're going to face on the other side. Christianity gives you the free ticket. Well, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to go to heaven. Everything's going to be taken care of for me. I don't have to worry about, all the rest of those bastards who didn't make it. Too bad for them, But for me, I'm going to heaven, and that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be with the. That's insane, folks.
So they just stop thinking.
They do. I don't need to go any further. That's why.
And I remember my comments with smart Christian people. Oh, well, that's above my pay grade, or God moves in mysterious ways, and I'm putting that on the shelf. You wouldn't do that if it was a business deal. You wouldn't do that if you found some irregularities in one of your business dealings. You would treat it much more differently.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to have to think about it. I keep on saying, if you don't figure it out here, what makes you think that when you die that you're suddenly going to get all the knowledge of the universe?
People want to outsource their responsibility.
Ooh, that's a good term.
Yeah,
exactly. I like that. They outsource it. Don't let me be personally accountable for it. I'd rather.
This is a good question by Ransom. Christians say they hate the government censorship, but yet the Bible says honor those that God places in authority over you.
I believe that's in Romans 4, isn't it?
It is. That's Paul the Roman, saying they don't bear the sword in vain. If you do right, you're not going to be punished. But if you get punished, it's because you're an evildoer.
Yeah, I think it's Romans 8, and that's exactly what he said. He said, well, if you got something to fear, then wait a minute. Today we live in a society, a government that has become so impressive that it's nuts. I mean,
it sounds like the argument of, well, why do you care if the NSA wants to see everything if you're not doing anything wrong?
Because you know what? I don't screw their wife, and I don't want them screwing mine.
And Wayne, it's so ridiculous. I took this concealed carry class yesterday, and the place that we have come to in this country is that our constitutional right to keep and bear arms is now not protected, and the rights of people to come into your home, your place of business, and do you harm, their rights are more protected than your constitutional rights.
Yeah. Listen, people are all for the president and what have you. You know what pisses me off? They're releasing nearly 180,000 illegals into this country. And do you know they're giving most of them housing?
And that's just...
We can't. I can go right here in Denver and show you thousands of people that don't have. What the hell is wrong with our government? It's like it's upside down. If you're a citizen, you have no rights. If you're a criminal, you've got more rights than a law-abiding citizen.
I mean, you can't. If you sit back and look at it objectively, it's impossible to come to any other conclusion other than, for some reason, the American, the prototypical American way of life is under tremendous attack. There's something about it. It's not perfect, but there's something about the guarantee of a person to be able to be independent and sovereign that somebody in this world, a lot of somebodies, really don't like.
Well, Barack Hussein Obama said, I am going to fundamentally change America. He did. He did.
Is it wrong for me to want to fundamentally rearrange Barack Obama's face?
Do you know what that son of a bitch did? Literally, an hour before Trump comes to the White House, that son of a bitch, illegally, by the way, goes and gives the Palestinian Authority $256 million. Was never authorized by Congress, never authorized by the Treasury, just because Barack Obama said to.
Is there really any reasonable doubt that Obama was a Muslim?
He was a Muslim. They converted the White House, because they have a chapel in the White House, to a mosque.
And we have data on that. We have validity on that. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Did Trump change it back?
I believe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's no Muslim, that's for sure.
I mean, say what you want about Trump. I mean, at least he's upfront. He's transparent, ridiculously so.
Ridiculously.
What you see is what you get.
I mean, I think right now we are at a crossroads in America. Look at YouTube and Google. I mean, the censorship that YouTube does. I mean, it's bordering fascism.
Thank you, Satan.
I mean,
thank you, Satan. The Obama. What was it? Yes, we can.
Yeah,
thank you, Satan.
Yes. We live in a very different time. I think something's happening to us. It's weird. I contend that we're seeing the takeover of the United States by the mega corporations.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean, they control Congress. I think they control the executive branch, most likely control the judicial branch. They write the laws. How does Amazon, who is one of the richest companies in the world, not pay 1 penny in taxes?
I mean, isn't it a no-brainer to say, yeah, we'll continue to give you tax breaks and stuff like this, but at the end of the year, regardless, every entity, be it corporate or individual, is writing a check for 10% of their earnings?
I don't know. Yeah.
10% of.
Oh, you mean as a tax?
As a tax, 10%, 10%, which is nothing, 10% tax on the corporations. I don't know if that could alleviate the national debt, but it can go a long way towards it.
Well, I go with the structure that Rand Paul came out with, which is, I think, one that makes sense. In fact, Alan Keyes back in the did the same thing. If we passed a corporate tax rate of 20%, flat 20%, no exemptions, no nothing, you pay 20% of what it is, we would still be the cheapest taxed industrialized country in the world.
Yes,
it would bring more investment to the United States. It would flush our capital system with foreign investors. Instead of today, the United States Federal Reserve cannot sell the Treasury notes. We've been buying them back. It's called monetizing our debt.
Yep. And it's crazy, but they don't, it's obvious they don't want it to work.
No, they do not. They want failure.
They don't want it to work, which is scary.
Well, the Republicans, I contend, are no different than the Democrats.
Listen, no, they're not.
They just passed, our country, we should have a budget. It's required in the Constitution, by the way. But we've not had a law-abiding Congress or Senate in decades. They continue to pass continuing resolutions. And we want to know why. They just passed a new budget over $2 trillion. Yet we've taken more taxes, but yet we're going broke. I just read that they said the true number that the United States citizens owe is almost $300 trillion.
Craziness.
300 trillion. Jeff, that puts a debt on you and I, our grandchildren, children coming down, of $599,000 per person.
It's never being paid back. It's beyond.
So what are they going to do? What do you do to suddenly wipe the books clean?
It'll be interesting to see.
I mean, talk about that tonight. That's a question I'd like to have people talk. What are you going to, they've got something planned. Something's up. They're not going to pay it back.
It's going to be interesting.
I don't know. Do you think that we're on the socialist slide?
I can't see this country ever giving in to socialism. There's too many of us.
So they're going to have to disarm us.
They're going to have to try.
Well, in Colorado, they're doing a real good job of it. Of course, this week we had another school shooting right here in my community. I live in Highlands Ranch.
That's horrible.
And they found out now the parents did everything right. They had the guns locked up in a safe. The kid broke into it. He's 18 years old. And so here we are again. Now, I contend that if you had open carry, where, I hate to see that schools are becoming an armed encampment.
Oh, I don't mind. How about 20% of the teachers armed? That would change things.
That would change everything. Yeah.
Because those little pieces of shit are not going to go marching into a school locked and loaded if they know that 2 out of 10 teachers are armed and are trained to take their sorry little asses out.
Yeah. And instead we have a young man who sacrificed his life. They're still heroes. I give hope to this generation. He ran right to them and they shot him multiple times as he was taking them. But you know what? That was all unavoidable. I think Florida has now passed it to where teachers can carry.
And in the state of Kansas, there's teachers that are carrying as well.
Is there? Okay.
And I'll say it again. I know that the people get mad at me for saying it, but there were no mass school shootings in Tombstone.
Doc, I think you'd be right about that.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it.
Absolutely. Well, it's a statistical fact. I had this argument with someone that, let me tell you what, if the citizens are all carrying, it's going to take a real idiot to try to do an armed robbery.
It changes the whole paradigm.
I mean, it does. I mean, the cashier's carrying a gun, you know.
Criminals are looking for the path of least resistance.
Exactly.
And if you want to go, I mean, the sad thing is if 20% of the teachers are armed and, you know, these pieces of human filth decide, oh, well, we can't shoot up the school anymore because there's too many guns there. We'll go to the mall. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. I mean, I have to admit it. We don't go to the shopping malls. I mean, today it's too weird.
That's just not true, Susie. She says all the schools in our country now have armed teachers. That's just not true.
No, they don't have them here. Wish they did. I'll tell you, it would be a different situation. They didn't have a safety officer at this school. And because most schools here in Colorado do have a safety officer, but many districts can't afford it. But I don't know.
And it was interesting in the concealed carry class yesterday that nobody knew who I was, but there's a guy, the guy who was teaching it said that he goes to this church that has like 1,000 people and there's 2 services and they've got a, posted no, gun-free zone. He's thinking there's one guy in there that's got a gun that's very hard to be accurate with. And he's a member at that range. So the guy that owns it knows he can't shoot. And yet here it is, thousands of people, 2,000 people every Sunday with no security. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Well, when I did go to church, I did carry, and the pastor knew it. I was part of the security staff.
Yep.
And I pity the fool who come and try to do something like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're right there with you. I tell everyone you should own a gun. The reason why the Japanese never attacked the mainland.
Own more than one.
They said, those Americans, there's a gun behind every blade of grass. They're right.
And people, pardon me, people don't want to realize, they don't want to remember that the reason for the Second Amendment is so that the government would always fear the populace. Jefferson said those words.
See, I have my copy right here. Yes.
When we want the government, the idea is that the government should always fear the populace.
They should fear us. And that's the problem. Congress doesn't fear the citizenry. The citizenry of the United States, for the most part, are morons.
That's true.
They don't know the Constitution. They don't know the Bill of Rights. They couldn't no more quote it to you than a man in the moon. Most of them have never even seen it.
Yep.
So
is it still on display in DC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least they haven't taken that out yet.
Yeah, not yet. We're going to replace it with Jurassic Park. That's something more relevant. Pokemon.
Wouldn't that be something? It'd be a video game.
That's about where it's going to. I contend that how does YouTube violate our Fourth Amendment? How do they violate the First Amendment? How do they violate our right to free speech?
Well, Wayne, I have a slightly different take on that one than you do, but I mean, I'm we don't have to be on YouTube. We are allowed to go and put our stuff up, but if YouTube doesn't like what we put up, it's their platform. In my opinion, they have a right to say, we don't want you to say that here. Go ahead and start your own direct stream from your website or something. But it is still very troubling when they're picking and choosing I mean, when some of the content on YouTube is ridiculous, and yet I don't like the censorship, but I don't get all mad and scream and yell at YouTube because I don't let people say whatever they want to on my site either.
So we can just say that free speech is more of a, I don't know, an illusion, a perception?
No. Let's just take this channel here, for example. Let's say Mandy Armstrong wanted to start posting, oh, I've got a great new video up here about this over on my channel. Come to my channel and watch it. Or Wayne is stupid and his shirt is ugly and it isn't a good day and just wanted to be contrarian. I would not allow her to say that on my channel. Okay. But she has a channel, else she couldn't be in the chat room. So she's completely free in her First Amendment rights to go to her channel and say whatever she wants, and I'll support her for that. She's just not free to say it on my channel, and I don't believe that is censorship. That's just, this is my channel. You can't say that here. Go to your channel, and I'll back your right to say it on your channel.
But you can't say what you really feel either on your channel.
I pretty much still can, because I'm not really into anything that YouTube is against. I don't think right now, but yeah, that is. But again, Wayne, let's take it up one step. YouTube has this platform. Mm-hmm. Jeff, you're completely able to go and start your own platform and say anything you want. If you're going to use our platform, we ask you to stay within these parameters. Personally, I don't have a problem with that, Wayne.
Well, if the deck of cards was a legitimate card, because here's the thing, when you have Google that dominates,
right,
basically the digital world, yeah, you can go start your own channel, but the idea is that it's going to be you and just your voice.
Right, and it'll be me posting posters on trees in the middle of the forest that no one's ever going to see.
But regardless of how controversial we are, YouTube still make money. They're still monetizing it in some direction.
Right.
Well, it's one of those things I guess we'll have to live with.
Yeah, I mean, do I wish they wouldn't censor us? Sure, I do. But am I willing to walk away from it at this point? No, I'm willing to, I guess, play the game for the right to get out as much information as I can on their platform. I'm willing to follow their rules to get my information out on their platform, at least currently.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I mean,
I get you. I feel you.
Yeah. Listen, they can go move their corporation to China or to Russia, and then I would agree with you on that. But it was the United States tax laws. It was the citizens of California that allowed Google to have it start. The same thing when they bought YouTube, and they've altered YouTube. YouTube was at the beginning was a free speech platform.
Yeah, there is no more. There's no more free access TV cable. I remember the day when I was living in Georgia just for a short time, and there was a candidate that came on for governor, horribly racist, using all sorts of derogatory terms for Black folks, and they were not allowed to censor his free speech. And this was back in the 80s. So I mean, there's on cable access. So there should still be a place where it doesn't matter what you think or what you want to say or how you want to say it. There should be, and it should be media. A citizen should be able to get on a media somewhere at no cost to them and say what they want to say. All of us, from the Black Hebrew nationalists to the jihadis to the people like you and me.
Yeah, I agree. It was part of the law that these cable companies, but now you've got the mega corporation, Comcast, and Comcast is basically giving the finger to, the customer, and they don't have public access anymore.
So when did we become such little snowflakes that we can't allow people to voice opinions that we don't agree with?
I don't know.
That's how you learn, number one. And number two, the best way to let some idiot show he's an idiot or some idiot show she's an idiot is to give her a platform and let her talk for an hour.
Excuse me. I can think of a few politicians that I could fill in that blank with.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, why are we afraid of opinions? When did opinions become as dangerous as bullets in this country?
I don't know. I just want to know where the love is.
Let these dummies, and it's way before Obama. I mean, I'm not for Obama, but it was way before Obama that this happened.
Well, it was. And, let me just say with on YouTube is that they're so ambiguous in their terms. I mean, I did a video for diabetes. I used the American Diabetes Association's infograph. YouTube banned it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching on magic. They banned that.
I wonder, Wayne, if, just about, well, a lot of my videos now get flagged and then they review them, but they only review them after there's been 1,000 views and there's still ads on the video. So where does the money go
to them?
For the first 1,000 views?
They steal it.
And that's called work. Yeah. That's called stealing where I'm from.
It is stealing. It is stealing. Yeah. I mean, so that tells me that they don't have a high ground here.
No, they don't have the moral high ground.
They do not. They do not. Well, buddy, I think you have a big week coming up, don't you?
Yeah, we're going to be heading over to LeakCon. Maybe next Sunday we can do the show live. Who knows? We'll have to talk about it. Yeah, we're going to be over. I'm going to go see Doc Holliday's grave. We're going to do a lot of interesting stuff. Jay Campbell will be there with me. I believe Halo Marquise is going to be there with me. So we're going to have a good time. A good time will be had by all at LeakCon. We'll have a table. Look for the big plastic Jesus. You'll see him standing there. And come on over and say hello.
Well, I hope you have a good time out there.
And if you want to come over and say screw you, you can do that too.
Well, have a successful show there, my friend. Enjoy it. I think
Ransom will be there doing some videoing, I think, and making a documentary.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we'll have some good weather for you. Enjoy it for sure.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Like I said, that's what you're going to be doing. Have a good time with it.
You bet. Well, Wayne, it's a pleasure to be with you again. I mean, I don't know how long we've been doing this show, but it's been a while.
Going on 2 years.
Yeah.
Going on 3 years. I think we started in August 2 years ago.
Did we? Wow. Yeah.
So
good stuff.
I don't know. There's not too many shows I know that go into the third year, but that's what we're doing.
Maybe one day we'll catch up with Supernatural, 15 seasons.
I don't know.
That's funny. All right.
Well, have a safe trip, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody in the chat room for being here. Wayne, it's been a pleasure and honor as always. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Literally.
We'll see it. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.